Questlove Show is a production of iHeartRadio. I mean, I could start off just on your boombox collection in the back.
I mean, this is a small portion of the overall boom boxes
Of
scattered
what you're
throughout the
looking at?
house. Yeah, just these couple right here. I probably got like 8 or 9 of them in the house or something like that total.
So are you just sentimental like that?
Yeah, man. It was funny during COVID. That ended up being part of my therapy journey. You know what I'm saying? Going back and trying to get stuff that I could touch
Right.
from childhood to ground me. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It was all of that. So yeah, so even the stereo piece that I have that I got converted into a helmet, um, I bought all of these pieces off of eBay like the same year. I spent way too much money on it now that I think about it, but it was good for me.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, in past episodes, I've mentioned how transformative the pandemic of 2020 changed me for the better in terms of my uh, life, my mental health, my physical health, and my creative endeavors, and also my relationships. And of course, I spoke of all the books that I read that changed me. If you're a long time listener of this podcast, you've heard me mention like Neville Goddard and Joe Dispenza and Brianna Wiest and Richard Rudd and Gay Hendricks, David Hawkins. Like the list is endless. But it wasn't all woo woo seriousness. Um, Podcast diving also became my go-to pastime as I did morning walks or just like I was isolated on a farm, in upstate New York. One particular podcast that was, I would say, a godsend. And I
Mm.
know, um, again, those who know me well know this this podcast format that I'm on. My tendency to um, sort of go over the top in terms of my enthusiasm with the hyperbole. However, I will say that one particular podcast that really truly um, became my go-to safe place in dystopian times
Mm.
was What Had Happened Was. And I often find out that my people, and yeah, black people, um, are kind of slow to dive into the history portal, which
Mm.
is understandable for a lot of us living day to day in fight or flight, and for a lot of us looking anything north of yesterday might not be rose-colored glasses. Um, Chip, my yesterday wasn't necessarily my favorite. Um, so that said, like this whole fight to the finish hustle attitude that we have, um, really, I guess, stems from looking for a better tomorrow
Mm.
than, and if you're in that mode, you might not want to look back in the rearview mirror. So, you know, I will say open up our enter our guest's genius creation, which kind of in a backwards way, I got drawn into the stratosphere of Open Mike Eagle.
Mm.
Even though I've heard of him, took ganders and whatnot, it wasn't until that podcast that I decided that, you know what, I want to be a champion of this guy and just look at his whole entire history. Thing is, I wouldn't exactly call our guest a podcaster, even though he's awesome at it. First and foremost,
Much
he
appreciated.
he is. Oh, I mean, dude, this is why I think we're the same person because we're all things to all people. He's also an excellent MC. He's
Thank you.
also a comedian, even a singer sometimes who balances music, television, podcasting, his personal life. Um, and his career includes,
Balance is a strong word, but I try.
dude. Yes, exactly. I mean, but we're both trying to do this. So earlier this year, he dropped an amazing, amazing album called Neighborhood
Thank you.
Gods Unlimited, and this is on his Auto Reverse label. And I gotta say, one of the adjustments I made in my life was not to put so much weight on critical acclaim.
Hmm.
I stuck to critical acclaim because I felt that that was the surviving grace for my life. But I have to say that I was mighty damn impressed with seeing his 8.5 rating in Pitchfork.
I was too.
Yo, dog, it is I I felt like I felt like De Niro felt when what's his name was getting made in Goodfellas.
Hmm.
Like ah man, like one of us got through the other side, which is also a sad state of affairs because again, I'm not looking for the critical gaze to make us legit or not legit. But anyway, all this long ass intro is to say, even though we've spoken a few times, you know, I wanted to reverse the roles here
Hmm.
and speak to him about his life because I kind of get the feeling that we are the same person and we should be friends. So hopefully this is that. So
That's what's up.
open mic Eagle, welcome to the Questlove show to QLS.
Hey,
How are you today?
man, I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me. I wonder, do you remember the airplane story? That's when we first met. I don't know if you remember
Okay, so here's the deal.
that.
We first met at we were sitting together in the
Oh,
airplane.
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Uh and
Oh, let me do it. Let me run it. Let me
okay,
run
do
it
your
because I
thing. All
think it's
right.
funnier from my side anyway,
Yes,
right?
it is.
So I'm in one of those airport bars in LAX, and it's me and my partner Video Dave sitting there,
Video Dave.
and we
Yeah.
look over and like, wait a minute, that look like Questlove over there. And you have the thing internally where like, damn, to be as aware of you as I am, I'm like, damn, should I go say what up? I don't know. But then I thought about it, like, nah, I've rapped over one of his beats before. That at least is a conversational open because one of the joints that you slid MC Paul Barman
Yeah.
for one of his albums, I got on that. So I'm like, well, that's at least that should at least give me a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave myself license to come say what up. So me and him, we came and said what up, and it turned out we was both flying to Austin. I think it was South by Southwest weekend,
Yes.
and I was being flown out there by Comedy Central because we were doing a premiere event for our show New Negroes.
Yeah.
So this is one of the few times in my life I happen to be flying first class.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so we end up uh, near each other on the plane. You're in the
And
row
we're
in
sitting
front of
next to
me.
each other.
Well, but let me tell you how that happened because that's funny too. Um, I'm sitting actually behind you to the left, and then there's
Okay.
a person next to me, and then a lady comes who's about to sit down in first class, and she's like, "Oh, do you mind if me and you switch seats?" And her seat was in front of me next to you, and this woman was Jodie Foster.
Wait a minute. You're right. You
Yep.
are absolutely right. Jodie Foster was on this flight. Yes.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So I'm like, you're damn right. I'll switch seats with you, Jodie Foster. And so I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, man, I'm sitting next to Questlove. Ooh, I'm about to talk his ear off. And I think I even said that. I'm like, oh, if I come up there, it's on.
No, you're not.
Exactly. Because we must have exchanged 6 words, and in 10 minutes in, you was out like a light. I'm talking about deep sleep. And I'm like, God damn it. But the story would have been funny if it just ended there. But then the plane lands, right? And I think I got your number then because I'm like, oh, at least I'm gonna do that. At least I'm gonna do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we get off the plane, and I'm waiting on Video Dave because Comedy Central didn't fly him first class.
Right.
So I'm waiting on him, and then you walk out of the plane, and you're like, "Oh, you forgot this," and you hand me my laptop, which I had left in the seat back pocket and completely forgot about. Like, you saved my entire weekend and didn't even know it. Like, I was there to do shows I wouldn't have been able to do because my laptop would have been in Montana somewhere, and I would have been up Shit's Creek. So that's the story of how we actually met.
You can now verify probably the question that I'm asked the most. Uh People always ask, when do you sleep?
Yo. Okay, I seen it. You're right, because I seen it.
Yeah. So the thing is that if I sit still for a good 10 minutes,
Hmm.
there's likely that's likely to happen. I'm glad that the story ended that way because there are also some people that will say that, wow, you're very standoffish, Amir, and whatnot. It's not. I'm trying to get better at being a people person.
Aren't you not? Are you not already the ultimate people person? Like, what
See,
else do
that's the
people want
thing.
from you?
I think if there's a shield, like this is kind of a shield, you know,
Hmm.
even though we're one on oneing each other, in conversation, um, if I'm writing something, people might think I'm chatty because of the same amount of paragraphs that I'll type in an Instagram post. I got what 8 or 9 books out. So one of my goals for 2026 is to um really go outside of my comfort zone. Like right now, because I live in such an expansive world
Hmm.
of uh, me as a producer, me as the Tonight Show person, me as a root, me as a DJ, me
You
as
was a
an author,
filmmaker,
yeah, all these things. For each job I have, there's about 8 to 12 people in that stratosphere. And so, yeah, I would say maybe the first 112 people in my life are friends, but they're also on payroll.
right?
And I say this, one of the hardest things for me to do is to step outside of that comfort zone
What
and
do you
really
think? What do
have
you
your
think is outside of that comfort zone that you're wanting to experience?
the convenience of this model right now is also it gives you probably the most convenient out ever.
Hmm.
Because if we're not working together, like if you're in my face, then you know we have interaction.
Right.
But if you're not there, then oh god, I sound like the
Then,
worst person in the world right
well, I know. I think I
now.
know what you're trying to say. It's like when people aren't in your face, it's probably like they don't exist, and that's probably cold. Like on, the words are cold, but
It's
I think it speaks to your focus on all of the things that you have to do.
but
Right.
the thing that people don't understand about this life I've lived for 35 years.
Hmm.
Like I think on the average, a person knows about you might could recall 200 people. If you think about it, there's probably you could probably recall maybe a good 30 people between elementary and junior high. You could probably name maybe 12 to 14 people in your high school. Uh Whatever jobs you've had, you might remember like 3 or 4 names. I'm sure if it's family members, you can add another 40 to it. I think the average person by the time they reach 30 knows at least about 200 people.
Hmm.
But when you're me, you know, like I know, I know 15 people in Miami. I know 70 people in Manhattan.
Hmm.
I know 100 people in Brooklyn. I know 100 people in Los Angeles. I know 12 people in Paris. I So if you take just the total number, when you're juggling 600 people and names and faces and whatnot, and don't let someone change their hairstyle or whatnot.
Oh, jeez.
And everyone's favorite question is, "Do you remember me?"
Spike Lee fish out lens.
Yo, dog, for real. It's like, well, in my world, everything is closer to Scrubs, or if you're old enough, Parker Lewis Can't Lose
Parker
with
Lewis can't. What a pull.
with the sound effects. You know,
Wow.
so because that to me is the most. I used to that used to embarrass me, and that then it used to make me angry because it's
Hmm.
like, really, that's your intro? Like, okay, so what if the answer is no?
Right.
Then we're both, or I'm embarrassed, and
So
then you
that
have
means you've definitely answered no at some point. So what happens then?
my go-to jokey but serious answer, which is the truth, is like, dog, I don't even remember what I had for breakfast this
Right.
morning.
Right. 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 Right.
Hope and I put it in perspective, but it's really hard to spring clean and start all over again. Um, but I know the one thing that I really want is I would like to have 10 friends that aren't on payroll
Mm.
and really maintain that shit. Because there's also a trust factor, a trust issue. I've done this before, and then usually like 7 months into it, an entitlement thing happens.
Where
You know,
people feel entitled to your time, or you feel entitled to theirs?
where people feel entitled to my accessibility, my
Attention. Gotcha.
resources.
Uh-huh.
I mean, like I don't know what the perception of it. I don't know what the perception of me is. Um, like outside of what I think the perception of me is, but I promise you that the world only knows 20% of the daily activities. Like there's some things that happen to me that are just so mind blowing that I can't. And again, this is a separation anxiety thing. Like you don't want to be the guy that's like uh ostracized because you get a certain privilege that your friends don't get to have.
Mm.
You know, I want to be likable and relatable, but I also want to grow and be
Relatable's
true.
gonna be tough, bro. Relatable's gonna be tough.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
who do you even have to compare experiences with? You know what I'm saying? Like, I imagine a lot of people can relate to parts of your life, but the whole of it's gonna be hard for them to put together.
I'm in a weird zone, because it's like, all right, there was a period where I really thought like Hove and I were going to be tight,
Hmm.
but he has a whole different set of reality and life matters that I can't relate to. And his circle, he kind of did it the right way where he he did it the more he did it probably the most ideal way, which is that the people that are with him are the people that came in the door with him.
Right.
Um, you know, I wound up doing a business with those people. I'll say that Tariq is probably the most consistent, and I've said this before. Like we're going on 38 years where he and I. Wait a minute, am I on your podcast again? I didn't even start with.
Hey man, this is how friendships happen, man.
So basically, our audience is just eavesdropping in on this conversation. No, yeah, I'll say that. I started a business with Tariq.
Hmm.
But then the danger of that is like I'm under the impression that you can't have a successful business and I don't know. I see business and friendship as church and state.
It's hard to do both. It really is.
Yeah, because when you have a conflict, like we had one conflict back in '94, which i- it's in the past, but I'm also once bitten, twice shy person.
Mm.
So my only teachable lesson of that one fight we had back in '94 was like, you know, I should keep a professional distance so that the business doesn't get ruined. Um,
And that will that
and
I mean that can't help but affect a friendship. It can't help it, you know.
yeah, because the thing is like the thing that I really miss about our friendship. Those first, and I mean, but this also applies to like the Soul Quarians. This applies to, there's a period where Jesus, now that D'Angelo's gone, like
Mm-hmm.
this, even with the departure of D'Angelo,
Mm-hmm.
like the thing that I'm happy with, the way I'm happiest the most is that he and I ended it the way that we started it. In the beginning, we had to get to know each other.
Right.
And it was like, hey, what music do you like? Hey, I like that music too. Hey, what artist you know? You know about this artist? You know about that artist? You know about this? Oh man, I listen to that record too. What you know about Fishbone? Da, 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 da.
Hmm.
And once we found out that we had so much in common, then that's how the musical marriage part of it happened. And so kind of the last 3 months we didn't have any instruments.
Hmm.
And so it was weird at first, like sitting there, you know, by his bedside and us talking, but I had such a fear in not having a protective shield of a drum set or just
Something else to focus on except for you
yeah,
sitting here
because
having this moment.
yeah, for that first hour, man, for that first hour, I just sat there wondering what does he think of the person in front of him now that's clearly wasn't the person whom he met 30 years ago.
Hmm.
And I was in my head about it. I was like, I wonder if he's judging me. I wonder if did he think I was a sellout? Did he, he, we once at mid Black Messiah, um, he really wasn't, he didn't know how he felt about us taking a day job.
Interesting. Did you see that conversation that Thought and Redman had? Um,
I seen a clip. I seen the clip on IG. I didn't have time to watch the entire thing. But what were
but
you saying?
Redman literally, like, they had a great conversation, and I don't mean this to steer away from the moment you're
No, no,
talking
no.
about
This
too,
is what
but
we're doing.
um, Redman literally in the middle of their conversation asked him like, "What kind of reactions did y'all hear from people when y'all got a day job?" Like, and for me, it was mind blowing to even think that. Look, especially on like the indie side of this rap shit, like it's always so precarious financially. It's like, wow, what how awesome would it be to have a gig, right? Like a gig where you're not like, you know, stuffing boxes at Amazon. You're doing what you do musically. You're just getting paid to show up and do it, you know? To me, it's like it's that's pennies from heaven. Like that's something anybody
Mm-hmm.
would want. But when he asked the question, it was like, oh shit, right. Like from peers, from fans, like there are people who could have seen it as a sort of like selling out. And that thought had never occurred to me until I heard him sit there and ask that question. And so it's interesting to hear that D'Angelo had some of those similar concerns.
So the thing is, I always felt that the Roots magic power was um always being underestimated.
Hmm.
And the first time I felt that power of lowering your expectations only for your expectations to fly was when we did our first hood gig, um kind of out of the comfort zone of the utopian South Street,
Hmm.
where it's black, white, girls, boys, da da da, like
Coffee
it's
shops and head wraps and that sort of
exactly
home base.
right. So, and the thing is that I didn't know what the Princess Lounge was. The Princess Lounge was like this club in North Philly that I think was like part strip club, part bar, or whatever, but they would have like some hip hop event or something. And the way that the Roots got our gigs was that people would just come up and be like, "Yo, play my poetry slam." Philly had like 5 colleges, so someone from Temple comes up,
Hmm.
someone from St. Joe's comes up, someone from Drexel comes up, and that's basically how we got the word out about the Roots. And someone said like, "Yo, come to the Princess Lounge, whatever." And we were like, just green. Anybody willing to have us as an audience, we'll show up. And we go up to North Philly, and we walk inside, and I look, and I was like, "Oh no!" and they looking at us like, the moment in the old western where like the bad guy walks in and the piano stops playing
Yeah.
and he closes the piano and sets up shop, like leaves. And we're walking through, and dog, I'm wearing exactly what I had on in the Motown Philly video. Like,
Okay.
I got on Oshkosh Bagosh jumpers. This is the year I discovered where Birkenstocks were.
Okay. Okay. You was doing it.
Yeah. And my hair was braided, and now that's normal.
Right.
But like, it took
94.
it took no this
Oh,
this this is 92.
okay.
So this is 3 years after 3 Feet High and Rising. So
Hmm.
it took that period of even having, like, it's like, why you have them snakes in your head? Like, people looked at
Mm. Right,
dreadlocks.
right, 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 right,
And
right.
I'm from Philly. So the way that they villainized the Africa family from Osage Avenue, I lived
Right.
on Osage Avenue. So Ramona Africa,
Uh-huh.
Birdie, like all
The
that,
Move family, yeah.
the Move family, like, conservative Christian black people always being judgmental and that sort of thing. So they even looked at dreadlock people as like, demons, and those are
Right.
snakes in their head. So they're just looking at us like, what planet did y'all land in? But they were also hip hop heads. So the second we started doing Dwick,
Hmm.
all of a sudden that Abyss Sub Zero judgmental thing went the opposite direction. And they did their version of He's a Jolly Good Fellow. Like, but that would happen also because 70% of all the gigs that we did between 93 and 96 were mainly Wu-Tang cancellation shows at colleges.
Right.
So, you know, and the audience would be this thing on. Hey guys, how you doing, Brown University? What's up? Hey, as you know, welcome to Spring Fling 1995. You know, Raekwon and Ghost couldn't make it, but but not to be outdone, we have a really awesome group from Philadelphia. They're a live band, and no, the Roots, and it's like,
Hmm.
so the reason why we had to put so much emphasis on a live show, we knew we had 10 minutes to make an impression. So all that's to say is, like, the lowered expectation part of it is something that I'm used to. And so I went into this job knowing, and sure enough, someone on I forget what the I forgot what the Reddit of 2009 was.
Probably
But like,
some message board or something.
yeah, it was a message board of like a really popular, and this journalist said, "Man, like, see, this is a sad day in history. Watching the Roots take a day job as a comedy show sidekicks is the equivalent of watching Miles Davis become a subway busker."
Okay. Okay. So that's a whole different paradigm that
But
never would have entered my mind.
the thing was, I knew the amount of inside winking I was going to do, taking advantage of the show. Like, wait a minute, they're doing Jay Dilla interludes.
Hmm.
They're doing what walk on song for it? Like, suddenly, it, th- we were so underestimated that it, like, I'm just used to that. I'm
Hmm.
used to people kind of prejudging us, and you know. So in the case of D'Angelo, the 14-year journey of Black Messiah was ones with highs and lows in it, highs and lows in it. And so the moment where, like, okay, now I live in New York and I'll come to the studio and start drumming and whatnot, he still didn't know how he felt about it.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, that's a weird unsolicited soundbite you're giving me, because on
So
my
so
side,
not even in a conversation. He's just offering this opinion of what
yeah,
y'all
well,
are doing.
just the first month, everyone was like, "Ugh, so late night television, huh?"
Hmm.
There's some people that brought up Bamboozled, the irony of
Oh God.
Bamboozled,
Okay.
and all this stuff. And I knew what he was hinting towards. Like, huh, you gonna become the establishment now, huh? Like, I see you, I see you. And I'm like, no. Like, just because I'm wearing a suit on television doesn't mean that I'm burning cigars with $100 bills. And we kind of had a heated. It was like a heated 2 day, 2 days of what I would call, like, if you remember Spy versus Spy and Mad
Yeah, yeah,
Magazine,
yeah,
like, kind of what you thinking? Oh, what you thinking? Like, I don't know if we're gonna fight, argue. I don't know if I'm about to walk out in 5 minutes or we make a classic or whatever.
Just a lot of
And
tension.
I kind of had to push back on him of in a sort of a passive aggressive way. I was like, well, man, like I said, I couldn't sit in the passenger seat forever and look to my left and no one's behind the wheel.
Hmm.
And he's like, what is that supposed to mean? And I had to remind him, like, we kind of in this weird. I don't know if you ever read the Epic of Gilgamesh,
I
or
haven't.
yeah, like, okay, I went to a school in which you had to read like all this Greek ideology,
I
like
was
the
probably
Epic of.
supposed to read it. I just didn't.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, uh, trust me, we went deep on, like, the Odyssey and like all
Hmm.
the Greek mythology stuff. When if you're listening to hip hop back then, you want to know more about Africa, not Greek starting
Right.
st- starting modern culture. But kind of like I thought we were supposed to be like this whole brothers in arms thing. Like, okay, we're gonna start a movement and take one step at a time together and do this movement. And I held up my end of the deal. You know, like, no one takes a year off from their momentum to go and help someone else. Like, the year that I took off was the year that we won the Grammy. We finally broke through to the other side. Like,
Right.
that should have been the year we cashed in and kept the momentum going of the success that we got. And instead, much to the band's chagrin, they were not happy with me
Right.
in taking off an entire year. Um, but I did it because I knew that was history and I wanted to be a part of history. And so he got offended that I was like, well, you can't say that I'm selling out when you abandoned our
Hmm.
movement. And so that was a hard kind of first few days, where even when we're playing, even when we were jamming with each other, it wasn't the same.
Hmm.
Like, we exchanged those words and then we start playing a groove and he's just like going through the motions, and
It's
I'm
not really there.
and I'm like, man, something better happen or else. All right, 3 a.m. I'm gonna leave. It's 3 a.m. All right, 3:15. If magic don't happen, I'm gonna leave. And the craziest thing happened. I said, all right, let me just take a break and then we'll come back and just one more time. We're gonna try this thing. And if it doesn't work this time, then it's an end of an era. And
Mm.
so I um I happened to go into the break room, and the Fresh Prince of Bel Air was on Nick at Night, and it was an episode where Carlton was doing the Carlton,
Hmm.
right? And earlier, D had played me Sugar Daddy, and that made me mad because, damn, the funkiest shit on this record, and I'm not on this record. I'm not on Sugar Daddy,
Hmm.
and so that was fucking with me because I felt like, because he's like playing it and like moving his head and shit.
Stank
Woo!
facing.
Like, he's the only motherfucker I know that gets high on his own supply. Like, his level of funk moves him.
Hmm.
Like, when he hears his shit, he feels that shit. And I have to act like I like it.
Mm.
Woo, woo, that's dope.
You have to not feel the self-denial part of it.
Yeah, because I'm like, wait a minute, are you playing this for me because you want me to drum on this thing, or you just
Flexing
showing
on me,
me
right?
that you moved on without me? And so, once he told me the story that damn, Bill Withers drummer, James Gapson, who is, I mean, my idol. He is like just his entire resume is just mind blowing. He tells the story that James Gatson heard the groove for Sugar Daddy on Black Messiah, and he says, "All right, well, play the song back for me." And he goes to the booth, puts the headphones on. He's just trying to figure out what he would do.
Hmm.
So he starts doing this, like, then he picks up his six, he's like, "All right, I'm ready to go." And they're like, "No, that was it. Thank you." And he's like, "No,
What?
no, no, I was just hitting my lap." Like,
Oh,
they're like, "That was perfect." James Gadsden never played the drums because just the whole ham bone
yeah,
sound
yeah, yeah,
of
yeah.
the claps and Sugar Daddy was enough for D'Angelo. I was like, well, damn, that's an incredible story. So I definitely know I'm not drumming on this song.
Hmm.
The whole time, I'm like, I feel like an outcast. Like, not only am I getting judged for a career move I did, but now you're just flaunting at me that you got someone else that's my idol from my childhood, and I got someone better than, like, that sort of thing. And so in my mind, I'm like, well, this is probably going to be the funkiest song on the record. So I immediately went back to Prince language and I said, if this is Sheila E's album, this shit is this song is a love bazaar.
Hmm.
And for if you're a Prince fan and you listen to Sheila E's record, Love Bazaar is third on that album. But for me, the way that my mind thinks in terms of sequencing, Love Bazaar really starts with the second song, which is Dear Michelangelo, which is a song that people ignore. But if you are an album person,
Hmm.
you know what's happening next. I mean, it's almost like knowing that Billie Jean's going to come right after Beat It, or that
Gotcha.
Human Nature is going to come after. Like, you can't separate the positioning of other songs and how you judge an album.
Sky
So in my
pager into
mind,
scenario.
exactly. Like, we don't treat what as its own song.
Right.
What is just a movie
Oh,
trailer?
what instead of Sky pager? My bad. Yeah.
Right, right, right. So basically, what is an incredible song?
But it's a
But
prelude.
in your mind, you got 3 minutes to do what you got to do so
Before you
that
hear
when
that
scenario
organ.
comes on, you're all in. And I've never listened to What on its own without expecting what chicka what do do do.
Dun-dun-dun.
Right. And so in my mind, this is how calculating I am and how petty I am. I said, okay, okay, I need to get in front of this train. Whatever song comes before Sugar Daddy, I need to be on that song, and I got to create the Dear Michelangelo that comes right before Love Bazaar.
Mm.
And so I'm back on the drum set, and I'm thinking of Carlton doing this dance. So I said, okay, I'm gonna take you out your comfort zone, D. I'm not gonna do no head nodding Dilla shit. And I started playing this thing on the tom tom. And in my mind, like, I'm not even looking at D on the piano. I'm just in my mind, I'm trying to imagine people in the audience, black people doing the
Mm.
Carlton, or like Fleetwood Mac shit that, like, but like with some oomph to it.
With some ass,
And
yeah.
I don't know how I forced the will, but this is how the song Charade got made,
Mm.
which I was like, I gotta be the song that's right before Sugar Daddy so that I can territorial piss And then when I'm done, okay, James Gatson, come in with your little hand slap. So, all that's to say is that, you know, back to his hospital bed. Yeah, like I just wondered, was he going to judge what became of my life? Because I became so professional. Like
But look at what you use your profession to do, though. Summer of Soul and Sly Stone, like you know what I'm saying? It's using your profession to advance the same shit that everybody knows is fly, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I feel like that's a different way to go about it than
it
it's like
is,
some
but
sellout shit. You know?
I know, but I think there's this mind state that when we're in this rock and roll lifestyle or whatever it is, that it's supposed to be debaucherous, it's supposed to be hedonistic, it's supposed to be, a bottle. What if you watch the Lenny Kravitz "Where Are We Running" video?
Hmm.
That's a great example. Look at "Where Are We Running" from Lenny Kravitz. And for most people, that's what the rock star is supposed to be like a bottle jack in your hands. It, it's supposed to be irresponsible. And you know, if you're responsible, then you're seen as a suit or whatever. So, that said, it's I'm in a position in which I don't think of myself as like the privileged 1% or whatever like people think the monopoly, whatever the monocule monopoly guy is, like
Uh-huh.
the feet up on the desk. I'm not that person, but I'm also not, the guy who's counting up change so that Tariq and I can split a bag of Famous Amos cookies and a half gallon of orange juice while we
Hmm.
watch Do the Right Thing for the 20th time in the living room. So, um, but I will say that the conversation was, he was proud of what my life had become.
That's good.
And so, anyway, I realized that maybe for the first 50 minutes of this podcast, it wound up being your podcast. So I want to know from you,
Mhm.
new friend, what is your general morning routine?
I make my little healthy breakfast. This it's strawberries, blackberries, yogurt, and pecans in a bowl. And I have coffee, and I do Wordle. And then
So wait,
depending,
speaking of Barman, is he also sending you his custom word awards now?
no, I don't think so. I don't think I've gotten a custom Wordle. He sends me a lot of raps.
Okay. So now that Wordle is almost at the bottom of the barrel with 5-letter words, they probably I believe at the top of 2027 they will have gone through every
Ain't that
uh
something?
5-letter word that's not a proper noun. I mean, Frank is a proper noun and Trump is a proper, you know what I mean?
Right, right,
But
right, right.
so now they're figuring out new ways to deliver Wordle. So now you can make up your own Wordle clue and hand it to your peoples.
Right. I did see that functionality, but I haven't used it.
Yeah. Barman's already on it. So you are conscious of your health in
I've
terms
had to
of
be, man, because in the pandemic, so during the pandemic, right at the beginning of it, I also got divorced.
Mhm.
So suddenly, as an adult, I'm really living on my own for the first time too, other than when I have my son. And
Right.
I looked up one day and stepped on a scale and saw a number I couldn't even believe. Like I couldn't believe that my
That
body
much
could do
bread?
that. I mean, that much everything. At that time, what I was eating for breakfast was like a fried chicken sausage sandwich in a English muffin and an egg and you know what I'm saying? And I had a little fruit by it, so I thought I was doing something, but like I just wasn't paying attention to how I was eating. I didn't know how to cook. I was eating a bunch of frozen shit. I was eating takeout all the time, and I wasn't really being active. So I look at the what had happened was that I did with like LP or that I did with Dante Ross
Dante.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm like my neck is like two times wider than it's supposed to be.
Right.
And I remember what my body looked like then too. But I started being more health conscious when I saw that number, and so it drastically changed how I eat because I actually started to learn about food and shit.
So you rhymed about being 45 on the new album. You're 45 right now.
I turn 45 tomorrow. Literally
Goddamn.
tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Well, happy. By the time this airs, you will have been 45.
Of course, of course. Thank you.
Um. Okay. So, do you feel like there's an unspoken pandemic happening with anyone that's in the rap game and their inability to get past the age of 50?
Mm. I think I need you to say a little bit more about that because my mind can interpret that a few different ways.
Um. Okay. So, my girl once kind of joked that there was a point where follow me on Instagram was very depressing because she said that your Instagram is basically a digital morgue.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Okay.
I was kind of in denial. And I was like, let me look. And then when I looked, I was like, wow, okay. Well, what I stopped doing was, it in normal times, 2014, 15, 16, 17, whatever, in like the first 5 years in Instagram, of course, I'm going to like, hey, my favorite bowl of cereal, or
Right.
I got this new drum set.
Mundane sort
Yeah.
of shit. Yeah.
And somehow my thing just became more concentrated about like things that I'm obligated to post
Hmm.
and things that, but most importantly, because I didn't want history to be lost, yeah, I will talk about this MC passing away and that MC passing away and this drummer passing away and this musician passing away. And there was one point where there was more death posts than there were just regular life posts. I wonder just in general because of a lot of your subject matters of just like when you rhyme, I feel like I'm listening to the inside thoughts of your head.
Of course. Of
You know,
course.
you're not it's not exterior rhymes. It's not about I'm the best at my craft and I'll take all
It
of you
used to be
MCs
that.
out.
It used to be that. You
Right.
know.
It's just rare to I clearly feel that all your rhymes are coming from what your inner voice is saying
Yeah.
or
It's
your
one part of my
subconscious.
mind talking to the other part, or one
Yeah.
part of like
Your
internal
alpha, beta.
conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 parts of our brain: alpha, beta, theta, data, and gamma. And I
Hmm.
feel like those four kind of like inside out.
Right.
Like they're Pixar's Inside Out. And so in general, I'll ask you, like, do you during this time period, is this a thought or concern of you? Like, have you ever said, when I'm 60, when I'm 70? I don't know. I don't have kids. So I think maybe when you have a kid, you have a purpose
There's
to
there's there is a sort of force of will to me that feels like it shifts into automatic once you do have a child. But I don't know if that serves true for everybody, because certainly there's many people who have kids who you also feel like that will to exist has not necessarily continued on. But I did feel that shift personally. That there was a certain offloading of desire to exist just for myself, but to also make sure that this being that I care about more than anything in the world uh, is also provided for, and that I'm here for him. You know,
so for you, it's just the second he came on earth, and you just felt like,
it changed everything. It really did. It really did change. It put everything that I did in a different context. But the hard part about that is that it puts my mistakes in a different context too. Like I had a couple years ago, maybe even just over a year ago, I was like the brokest I've ever been in my life. And it had me questioning my life choices existentially because it's like, yeah, I have lived so many of my dreams, but what does it matter if I have nothing to provide for my child? You know what I'm saying? Like
How
what
old is
is
he?
he's 16.
Okay.
Um, like what is the value of having lived one's dream if that only adds up to $17 and you have a mouth to feed? You know what I'm saying? It's like those it's a different way of looking at everything I've been able to accomplish. Not that, of course, success and money aren't always hand in hand, but specifically in the context of how having a child makes you examine the things you've done and the choices you make.
All right. I almost feel like this should be a private conversation, but I want you. No, I want you to stay here because for me, one of the biggest fears I have in life is becoming a father.
Fear.
And I'm not a father, and I have kicked that can down the road. All right, when I'm 33, I'm ready. All right, I'm 36. And all it takes is just like a day with one of the Roots kids for me to be like, nope, I'm
Mm.
good. I'm good. I'll wait till I'm 41. All right, 45. I'll wait till then. I, and it's time to shit and get off the pot. And this is the first time I'm asking these questions. I can't believe I'm using my own platform to ask these questions. So, what was the feeling 16 years ago when you?
I was in a very stable partnership with a very stable person. Uh, the only instability was really me and my artistic endeavors and the risks involved in that. Um, and I certainly thought with all of my cells, right, that in that year, like when I was living that year of 2008, 2009, that I'm committing to this future. Like this is the partnership I'm going to be in for the rest of my life. So this is the perfect time to
Am,
bring a
am,
child into the world.
am I allowed to ask? Did you plan or it
Yeah,
just
we
happened?
planned. We
Okay, okay.
planned. And
Did you feel like you were ready? Because in my mind, I always felt like, okay, I got to make this amount of money, and I got to have these projects done and everything, and then I'm ready. Or is it just a thing where you just jump in the water and
I mean, there was a little jump in the water. Like I said, like my partner at the time was in a very stable, like rock solid place. And I still had a lot to figure out career wise. Like at that point, I honestly didn't know if I was going to be able to successfully make a career out of music or not. But I was like, if not, then I'll just get another day job because I has always had day jobs up until that point. And when confronted with those thoughts of, I don't know if I could do this, what I will always do is just look around and remember that like almost every adult in my purview, and this is just people in my circles, people at the grocery store, whatever, like a very small number of these people were planned. Like all of these people were babies once, and very very few of them were planned, and it just reminds you that just like as a species we've been doing this for thousands of years. Like we know how to do it. We know how to take care of kids. We know how to put our lives in a position where if we give a shit enough to do this, we'll figure it out. Like I that was a thought that comforted me a lot. Like, yeah, I'm looking at NBA on TNT. I'm like, damn, Shaquille O'Neal was somebody's baby once. Like, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But like, literally, all of us were in that position, and very few of us were in that position in the most ideal circumstances. Like, that's not how it goes. Like, we all have sex, and then people have kids, and then people figure it out. I was a child of the 80s, crack era. My mom got in a lot of trouble when I was young. My grandparents raised me. Um, shit happened to me, shit happened to all the kids that I know. And I've had to check myself a lot in making sure that I wasn't being uh overprotective of my son in ways that didn't even make any sense. Like, you know, he's in a different circumstance than I was in so many ways. Like
What
not only
is
in
he in
term,
LA with you now? Like where?
yeah, he's in LA. He's in LA. Like he goes to school in Culver City. Like it's not the south side of Chicago in the late 80s. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a different environment. There's threats, but they're very different. And I'm not necessarily like my fears aren't going to prepare him for the environment that he's in right now. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't translate. Like so I'm always monitoring for dangers that I am aware of.
What does a father look out for or worry about in 2025
The internet,
for a 16-year-old kid?
the internet,
Oh damn, I didn't even think about
the
that shit.
internet. Like the internet, who he's playing. I mean, it all goes back to the internet because it can be social media, it can be who he's playing online games with. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to look out for people on Roblox and like
What's
the
Roblox?
Roblox is it's a game engine, but it's a closed sort of economy where you like a bunch of people make different types of games in Roblox, but predators go crazy in there, grooming kids on Roblox. Like it's a very serious thing. Like you can enact protections to make sure that things are as safe as possible, but it's just such a wild west part of gaming that like predators have really taken a hold of that spot. And
Dog, I literally thought the only thing I'd have to worry about is sending them to the store to get toilet paper or buy flour or I didn't even I didn't even I didn't even fathom or think about that part of life.
Yeah, that's the part. And like all of my fears, you know what I'm saying? All of the ghetto myths we used to make up to keep, like that's always so interesting to me to think about. Like we used to make up villains in the hood. You know what I'm saying? And they were reflective of real things, but we used to like like it's almost like ghost stories about shit that would happen to you. Like and that was the way we sort of knew how to stay safe or whatever. But like yeah, like it don't translate to now. And I think being very mindful of your kids not having accounts on things, trying to control the screen time and all of that shit is really important.
So a new 15-year-old just entered my life right now in terms of mentorship
Hmm.
and their parents sort of expressed a concern or a fear of like explaining like this is the most dangerous times of their life. For me, that dangerous time was 7 to 9. Like the whole don't take candy from a stranger, don't
Right.
but
But you know what that's reflective of too is that when we were younger, we used to go out, we used to go
we used to
out
be
into the world
outside.
by ourselves
Right,
more.
right.
And that's not really a thing that happens now. So society has sort of changed on that level too. Like I never sent my son to the store when he was 9 or 10 by himself to do anything. Like this just like and if he had been seen walking around my neighborhood or his mom's neighborhood at that age, it would have looked crazy.
Really?
Yeah. Kids walking around with other kids, that's one thing. But I'm just saying like a third, fourth grader walking around solo, I don't
Oh my
see that
god.
much out here.
Then I'm the most blessed human being on earth because like starting in third grade by myself, I would take the trolley, the subway, and another train to go to school, circle back by myself.
I did
And
a
you
lot of
know
that
that
too when I was younger, but I think that if I sent my kid out into the world now the way I was sent out into the world, it would look crazy.
so this is one of the adjustment things that I thought was normal in the 70s and 80s, like a corporal punishment. Like
Right. Like I think it's similar to that, like that sort
we
of
all thought
shift.
that was normal.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. To our listeners out there, I really apologize. I will try to sneak in Mike's profession, but I told you guys at the beginning that the format of the show is going to be way different than just like
Mm.
your first musical memory. What was your first memory in life?
Ooh. Uh ooh. I want to say it was walking into my grandmother's apartment when I was like I had to be 3 or 4 or something like that. And but the reason I would remember it is because it became where I lived. you know.
Okay.
So I feel like it was my first time walking into what would become my childhood home.
And for the record, and this blew my mind when I did your podcast. Could you share with the audience the first rap song you ever heard in your life?
Oh, my mom. I got in a car. Remember, I told you my mom got in some trouble because she was an '80s kind of party girl. Some so
How old was she when she had you?
oh I don't even know how if I know how to do that math, but I would say it had to be early 20s. It
Okay.
had to be early 20s.
Okay.
Um, I got in her car because this is one of the days I wasn't living with her, but she picked me up from school that day. We were staying at her house for the weekend.
Right.
This was first grade. I get in her car and she's playing Easy E. Um, I distinctly remember hearing "We Want Easy," and I remember hearing, "Is it Nobody Move, Nobody Get Hurt?"
Yes.
Those are the two songs that I remember because I just couldn't wrap my head around like
The bank
the
robbery
process.
song.
Yes, the process by which this was happening. Like I didn't know how to deal with it. Like I'm in my mother's car. I'm hearing music with curse words in it that doesn't it's like it reminds me it made me feel like if I was in a movie and it would have been the part where she would have covered my eyes, but like she's just playing it and this guy's voice sounds funny. Like I can't even tell if he's like a serious person or not.
It sounds like a
So this
cartoon.
yeah, it was incredibly entertaining to me. And I'm just sitting here like wide-eyed and slack-jawed, like not even knowing how to engage with this. And that was the first rap music I ever heard in my life.
At 10 years old, what do you remember about Chicago?
10 years old. So that's when I'm going to Drake Elementary School, which doesn't exist anymore, but it was a school in the middle of the projects. One of my craziest memories from that school is that we had a kid who transferred in. He seemed like a generally cool kid, got along with everybody. He was leaning back in his chair one day in the back of the class, and we all heard a crash, and everybody started laughing because he had fell. But then he like didn't get up, and then they took him to the hospital, and I still don't understand these words, but the teacher told us that they were told that this little boy, because he was living in the projects immediately surrounding the school. This little boy had a system full of cocaine when he went to the hospital, and they were saying they don't know if he had an older sibling or something or a parent who was dealing, but like it like his shit just completely like an overdose basically for a child. And so that week, all of our curriculum was thrown out of the window, and we just had like dare, like it was like dare programming, like all week long.
What year were you born?
I was born at 80, so this was like 80. This is 89, 90.
When I first visited Chicago, I mean, we were taught to fear Chicago, and
Really,
a lot of these one-stop shops. When when you're first promoting your record and all that stuff, you got to go to George's record shop and
George's
all this
Music
stuff.
Room, yeah,
And we were just told like Chicago has more projects per capita, like
it's a lot of
you know,
projects. Yeah.
Cabrini Green's right there and Oprah's penthouse is right there. Like it was amongst each other. So in general, are you walking around like it's normal, or are you consumed with any second you could be out of here?
So it felt very normal to me, but I could tell that to the adults in my life it wasn't very normal. Like I could tell that to my grandparents it wasn't very normal. Like we would hear gunshots outside of our building and they would tell us to get low, but like you could see that it was like very frustrating to them. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't live in the projects. We lived in a set of high rises that were very close to us, another set of projects.
Mm-hmm.
So for us it was normal, like hearing gunshots, like crime, like crackheads. We had, like drug addicts in our family and you know, seeing your auntie turn into something else. Like that was very normal. But when I look back on it, it seems crazy. And like I feel like even now it would be nuts to see some of the stuff that we saw. But at the time it did feel normal. It didn't feel like, and I used to come to California a lot too. My dad always lived out here.
Okay.
But it never felt like super crazier than LA to me.
And if I think of my childhood, um, I miss it and reminisce it. Often I go back, I'll rent a car just to drive in Philly
Yeah.
and just sit on the corner. No specific destination. I'll just sit in front of my grandmother's house, never get out the car,
Hmm.
but just
I've done
like
that in Chicago.
wonder, like just see if old ghosts pass by. For you, is that also like, do you have fond memories of what I would assume is one of the most dangerous times in Chicago?
Absolutely, because it was my childhood. You know what I'm saying? Like it was my childhood. Now, you know, because of all of that, and it's funny because it reminds me of the pandemic in a way, because of all of the hurricane, the bullshit I grew up in, I was in the house a lot. So, a lot of my like, the boom boxes and all of that shit, the stereos, like that's all like I'm trying to like reclaim memories of shit that was in my house that I grew up in and I felt very safe in. Like my fond memories are around like playing Nintendo, you know what I'm saying? Or like certain parts of episodes of the Cosby Show. It was earlier we were talking about. You said the Epic of Gilgamesh, and in my head I'm like Cleveland Notes. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes, yes,
the
Cleveland
Cosby
knows.
Show version of the Cliff Note, like that
Oh my
type of
God.
stuff.
Why that
Yeah.
episode? Or you end up on the street, or you end up on the street, when they did that
Like
rhyme.
that type of shit. MTV at that time, Nickelodeon at that time. Like that's a lot of shit. Like when I live stream, sometimes I just find like hour long blocks of time people have uploaded from, MTV 1991. And well, I'll just play that and react to it just because it takes me back to that place. Like a lot of that media is so important to me.
Did you ever dream of escaping it? Like,
I
I
think I
gotta get
did
out of here.
escape it. I think I did escape it, but that's how I escaped it was through the media, through music. You know what I'm saying? Like through the music in my headphones. Like that's like and that's why like and I know it's fucked up when I say this, but it's the truth for me. It's why I never really got excited or could fuck with gangster rap because it always sounded like the shit going on outside my window. And I had enough of that shit, like trying to go to school. You know what I'm saying? I had enough of that
You
shit. Like it
lived it,
wasn't
yeah.
funny to me. It wasn't cute to me. And we were talking about Easy E, but that felt like more of an abstracted sort of
Hmm.
cartoonish version of it. But like real serious gangster rap, I had zero appetite for that shit. Zero.
I think, I think that music was created for those that vicariously wanted to know what we were like
Hmm.
without having to physically come in and
Yeah,
experience it.
the voyeur experience,
Yeah.
But I've known a lot of people even, in those environments that really connected to that because that's what felt authentic and real. And they wanted music that reflected outside. I just never wanted that. But I think that's the answer to your question because to me, the escapism was always like, what sounds different than this? What looks different than this? You know?
So I have a theory that, once 1997 came, 1997, really 92, but it came to fruition in 97, in which I felt that there was these lines drawn in the sand,
Hmm.
uh where suddenly now there are successful rappers, A-list rappers, um privileged A-list successful rappers, and then to my left, they're the underground backpack rappers,
Hmm.
um the the subculture, the abyss, the below underground, and then there's the middle ground
Right.
kind of person that has their foot in both of these things. um in general, do you feel as though currently, because I mean you are still actively currently, I've not released an album in 11 years,
Mm.
so I'm not out of the game. Yes, still working on Endgame as we speak. We've mixed two songs. No, we've mixed four songs, so we're almost at the halfway mark. The songs are created. I just have to mix them.
Hmm.
Um, but do you still feel the apartheid effect? If you were to meet a Playboy Cardi right now, even
Right.
though look, I understand the age difference and all those
Right,
things.
right, 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 right.
Like, is it still the three-way civil war apartheid that I felt it was back in
So
96,
I
97?
I mean you saying you felt it was, I'm telling you on the ground it definitely was that. Now part of that, in 97 was part of it was marketing that we bought into, but it was serious for us. Like I was part of the kids that was ciphering on the corner. Like so when something like Sound Bombing or Lyricist Lounge came out, I was like, "Oh, this is for me. This is for us. This is our shit," right? Like so that, and then how the roots of that pun not intended, but the roots of that sprang up. And you get Most Def and Quali, and then they're messing with y'all and Common. So like there's a sort of line to be drawn, like
But
back to the
but did you
underground.
know that you were choosing the dweebs? Did you know that you were choosing
Yeah, because
the
yo,
losers?
yo, I was in high school. Like I was in high school. I was in high school in Chicago where like there were enormous philosophical, sometimes heated debates about Biggie versus Pac. And I was part of the crew that was like, fuck both of them. We don't listen to none of that shit. We was listening to like early MF Doom and Cool Keith and Dr. Octagon. And really we were rapping. We were underground. Of course, we were the dweebs. Like that was us. You know what I'm saying? And if you fast forward to now, I think what I often have to be careful of is not bringing those old dichotomies that I have learned. I had to undo the marketing part of it. Like I had to undo the fact that like a lot of these were artists signed to different offices within the same building, and they were pointing back at us saying that this is the real shit, and then this is the popular shit, but they was making the same money either way. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to like investigate a lot of that and make sure that I'm not bringing a lot of that with me, because one thing that I've learned is very clear is that the audience doesn't separate them. The audience, like listeners, hip hop fans these days, they fuck with everything. They don't mean that they like every artist, but they're not going to not listen to somebody because they're underground. They're not going to not listen to somebody because they're mainstream or because they're popular.
See,
So,
this is where we might differ based on just the early internet reaction, or just, it could be just the seven people that would catch me at the diner after show in Denver, or me putting my crates back in the car after a gig in, Houston or something. I was under the impression that a big part of our success was, it's one thing to be chosen,
mhm.
like I choose you, like I choose to listen to Open Mike Eagle. But I was finding out that a big part of our fan base, or the attendees, was more like, nah, man, I hate
That
blah
over
blah
there.
blah blah blah,
Hmm.
which kind of makes me feel like, oh well, you're the only one left. It would be like, when I was a kid, there's nothing worse than being the last person chosen for
For
anything.
a sporting a dodgeball team or whatever the fuck.
Right. All right. Amir, the girl, Amir. All right, Amir. You know, and sometimes I felt like that. Like,
I do think it was different, but but this is what I'm saying. The marketing was in effect then. But, right? If you look at, let's look at Thought the MC. Would anybody be surprised to see him on a song with Jay-Z or J. Cole or Drake when people still liked him, or Kendrick or anybody? Like, is there like maybe Thought and Cardi is a little too far, right? But that's more of a stylistic thing than like a
right,
popularity thing. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like literally, Cardi literally mumbles. You know what I'm saying? Thought literally elocutes better than anyone. So, so I think that of course is a bridge maybe too far, but Um, I think in terms of there used to be a stratifying based on popularity, you know, like, you look at the What They Do video, y'all going at the images of rappers who were popular.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? When I feel like popularity doesn't play that much of a part in what listeners are choosing these days. Not as much anyway. I think there's a lot less separation these days than there used to be.
So you're saying that you have hope?
I'm saying that I'm seeing out there in the trenches that it ain't like it used to be. That don't necessarily mean it's better, but it ain't like it used to be.
Okay, that'll help. That'll help. Um, Look, I promise that we're gonna have a professional conversation one day.
Sure. Or let's have 3 to 5 unprofessional ones in between then.
You know, the half of the audience that stayed for this conversation.
Oh no, I think they's locked in. I
This
think they's locked in.
this conversation is almost close to what a therapy session is like for me.
I
Uh,
believe that. I believe that.
but I believe that the voice is the most important element
Hmm.
of anyone's anyone worth their grain of salt. The voice is the thing that pulls you in,
Hmm.
and you have a voice that is like, and I don't know how to explain it, but it's almost like a safe space of that of like a therapist or a psychologist.
Well, I'll tell you this. I do have a bachelor's degree in psychology. Now, and at one point that was going to be my life path.
But why don't you just do the extra 4 years and become a doctor?
Uh, because I moved to LA and got married and had a kid and started making rap music instead. It's that's a whole that's a whole nother side story. But I hesitate to even say that because it's not something that I do on purpose. But I genuinely like talking and like listening to people. You know what I'm saying? Like I genuinely enjoy it. Like
I
it's
could
it's
tell.
yeah, you know what I'm
Even
saying?
on
Because
my
to
own podcast, I wound up like this is a confessional. I think I said like five things that my producers are like, wait a minute, he never said that before. Like, so like
connecting is important, man. I just think it's important.
I, I
And I
think
think it's important. I think it's also important for people to hear people connecting.
I believe that I do believe, which is, you know, uh this new format that we're on. It's going to take people to get used to this,
I'm
but
sure it will.
um yeah, when I did this episode with Willow Smith once, and I didn't realize how cathartic that felt.
Mm,
I rarely have done like one-on-one episodes, and kind of the impetus of the old Questlove Supreme was sort of like my ongoing hiding in plain sight things.
interesting.
Well, I got Fonte here, and I got Laia,
Right. You
and
got
I
the
got
cast of
Bill, and I got
characters. Yeah.
yeah, and I could, it's like D'Angelo in the background, voices. I always told him like you do all these intricate background things so that you don't have to face the people. Like you're
Mm.
somewhere back here, but all the music and all this other stuff and
All the
are
layers.
distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah, and having that high of that first high of the cathartic uh healing that it felt to have a conversation, because these are things that I don't do that often. Like
Mm.
this will probably be the first 2-hour conversation I've had with someone this month,
Mm.
which is more
I
of a
mean, probably same here now that I think of it. I mean, who has 2 hours these days?
Mike. Before I let you go, I definitely want to talk about Neighborhood Gods Unlimited. Um, first of all, can you just talk to me about the process of your creativity? Like how when you when you are at the beginning of a project,
Mm.
are you one of these things where are you one of these artists who just sort of does things by the daily and then after throughout time there are maybe 25 songs sitting around and then you have to figure out which of the batch can fit this or do you have a concept in mind before you release it
You
out
know,
to the
to
world?
me, it's a little bit of a hybrid situation where typically what I'll do is I'll start making songs. I'll get like 5 or 6 songs in, and then I'll start to understand what I'm trying to say with this music. And then I'm like, oh, this is what I'm trying to talk about. And then I sort of like finish the project. You know what I'm saying? And I say finish, but I might only be like a third in when I sort of when the theme or the narrative or whatever I'm trying to do really emerges for me. And then I sort of take that through the rest of it, you know?
Okay, so what is your theory with Neighborhood Gods Unlimited then? Like what's your
I mean, this is a story, like it's a trauma story. And it's a trauma story about like what trauma does in a lot of cases is shatter a person into a bunch of little pieces, right? And this is a story of somebody trying to put themselves back together, but going about it the wrong way. And then that sort of sets the table for everything that happens in this album, one way or another.
how do you deal with trauma in 2025?
I mean, I have to give all praise due to my therapist, man. I really do. And I went through a lot of therapists in my life, but I had to find one that was specifically trauma focused because nobody else is going to be able to get around all of my verbal bullshit that I do to make everything make sense in my mind. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody has to be trained in trauma therapy for me to like get outside of myself and actually see, you know, what I'm saying, what I'm doing, the choices that I'm making, and be able to actually like start to reintegrate.
I was kind of under the impression that all therapists should be prepared for trauma. In other
I
words,
think I
like
think preparation, but specific like there are specific avenues of therapy that are built around dealing with trauma. And it's not just like cognitive behavioral therapy or this or that. It's like this is trauma therapy. People do like EMDR, like that sort of stuff. Like these are particular uh, trauma centered approaches to dealing with therapy.
and so in terms of connecting, is this more of just a cathartic exercise for you? Do you like what's your general fan base? Because again,
Hmm.
as I stated, I feel like you are rhyming from the inside of your head,
Right.
the thoughts in your head, and your courses sound like affirmations,
Hmm.
and so it's almost like I hear you actively working it out. In general, when you are performing or just getting general feedback of it, like how are you? What's the reaction as far as like the connection and
Um, it's interesting. I feel like people that enjoy it, because there's obviously people who aren't, who don't, but the people that do, uh, they can enjoy it on a bunch of levels or different levels. Like some people just like you say, some people just like how my voice sounds. Some people like the ways the choruses are. Some people like the sort of beat choices that I make. And some people get really, really deep into trying to unpack the story of the album and dig really deep into it. Now that's what I'm always most pleased by. But I understand that that's asking a lot of a rap listener to like try to put a puzzle together. But to me, like that's like the work that most interests me from other people, from like film directors, authors, whatever. Like it does that. Like it doesn't necessarily handhold you through the entire process. Like it asks you to like jump in here, make an impression, make an interpretation, uh, and see where you land.
like I want to know, like, are you a night person creating this? Are you a morning person? If we weren't podcasting right now, would you be?
I have another podcast that I usually tape during this time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, no, no. Don't apologize. I mean, actually, we don't even podcast here. We have like a planning meeting we usually do during this time. But
Gotcha.
like typically this part of my morning just about every day is me sitting in this room talking on this microphone for one reason or another. And so I tend to work on my creative works after this into the afternoon. And then when I have my son, I'm going to pick him up from school and we have an evening. And when I don't have him, I might be working all night.
Speaking of podcasting, um, can we expect anything? Well, wait, how many do you have so far
How many
besides?
podcasts do I have?
Yes.
Okay, what had happened was in Past Due, those are the only two like active ones right now. Past Due is a podcast I do with Anna Marie Cox where we talk to creators about like their financial realities. So that's like a whole different beast. And then, I'm cooking something else. I'm cooking something else that y'all might hear about in
Can
association with the family over here.
can we talk about it?
I mean, I don't know how much we can talk about it. So, I'm working on this podcast called well, the working title is called The Album That Changed My Life,
Mm-hmm.
where I interview people from all walks of life about the music that changed them, the music that sticks with them, their favorite music ever. And the way that the show is constructed, we'll have somebody involved in that project there in the conversation too. Um, and we think it'll give a interesting insight into the person that we're talking to and that music. And I'm really excited to start digging into that.
All right, dare I ask? Can you give us what is the album that changed your life? Then
There's so many
see,
albums that
but is
changed
it
my
the
life.
album that changed your life, or is it your favorite album?
Um, I think for different guests, it'll be a different answer. Like what I would go with. Like if I was the guest and not the host, I would just say Midnight Marauders, and you know what I'm saying. And I would
Right.
talk to anybody from Midnight Marauders, whether it be Q-Tip or Bob Power or Ali or whoever we
Mm-hmm.
could talk to. It'd be that sort of configuration. Now I'm not saying we got nothing like that in the can. I don't want people getting too excited, but that's where we aiming.
Okay, we got to aim high if we're doing this. Let's aim
Exactly.
high then.
100%.
Well, thank you, brother. I really appreciate you. This is the probably the most unusual episode of QLS. Um, and I will let our audience know that selfishly, I decided to use Mike's episode as my own therapy session because
I think
he
we're all the better for it. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and um, I feel privileged to peel some of the layers back in either direction. You know what I'm saying, and actually, forge a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that's really important.
it has to happen. Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Ladies
Thank
and
you.
gentlemen, Open Mike Eagle. This is QLS, and I will see you on the next go round. The Questlove Show is hosted by me, Amir Questlove Thompson. The executive producers are Sean G., Brian Calhoun, and me. Produced by Brittany Benjamin and Jake Payne. Produced for iHeart by Noel Brown. Edited by Alex Conroy. iHeart Video support by Mark Canton. Logos, graphics, and animation by Nick Aloe. Additional support by Lance Coleman. Special thanks to Kathy Wrong. Special thanks to Sugar Steve Mandel. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share the Questlove Show wherever you stream your podcast. Make sure you follow us on socials. That's at QLS. Check out hundreds and hundreds of QLS episodes, including the Questlove Supreme shows and our podcast archives. Questlove Show is a production of iHeartRadio.